So we have a monthly theme, and that monthly theme is igniting your superpower in the times of uncertainty. And the idea is that we are all going through uncertainty. The first Sunday of the month, I asked how many of you felt like you were going through uncertainty, and everybody raised your hand, pretty much. And we may feel like as a spiritual community that it is now a time of uncertainty, as we have a pretty major shift in what's happening here. I get that. I heard a new term, by the way, just as a little aside. I was at a conference this last week at Unity Village for the conference of our umbrella organization, the affiliated New Thought Network. And I got to spend the week at Unity Village, which is just such a sacred and holy and amazing experience. But Matthew Fox, author of 32-something books, a kind of a modern mystic, was one of our keynotes. Jackie, hello. Oh my goodness, I just saw you. Hi. Sorry. that might happen throughout today as sorry. He's really considered a modern mystic, so we had him in 2 sessions. It was really quite extraordinary. But he was talking directly to me the whole time, just so you know. He wasn't speaking to anybody else, just me. And he said, you know, there's a new term for retirement, because retirement is like kind of not really anything that happens anymore. But he said the new term is refirement. That you get, and I love that. So I am not retiring, I am refiring. And I really love that. And it is a time for this community to refire as well. Absolutely. And I do, clap. And I do understand that it also can feel like a time of uncertainty. I get that. I completely understand that. And so today, as I was thinking about what in the world am I going to say, how am I going to distill 22 years of ministry into one final sermon that will leave them so inspired? That's a lot of pressure. So I just decided to let that go. And then I remembered something one of our board members, Catherine Cohen, who's back there in the cheap seats. That'll teach you for not getting here early, young lady. Catherine said to me about a couple of months ago when she found out that when we had a communication about my decision, she said, on your last Sunday, why don't you tell us the top 10 things you want to leave us with? And that I was reminded of that as I was having a little angst over what am I going to talk about, and I thought, I love that idea. So I'm going to give you the top 10 things that I would like to leave you with on a way to live your life expanded, empowered, and certainly to help activate your superpowers all the time, but particularly at times of uncertainty and challenge. So, of course, these are, have to do 1, 2, or 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, but they're not really in any kind of order. They're all important. But here they go. So number 10. Now, number 10, I actually did an entire month's series around, an entire month, 4 Sundays I did this topic, but you're going to get it in a minute and a half. And so number 10 is live our sacred 7 spiritual practices. And now here's the test. What are they? We have posters plastered all over this campus to tell you, but what are they? What's one? Meditation, affirmative prayer, tithing, seva. Not chocolate, but I like that. It could be. Visioning, visualization. We already got seva. Affirmations, there we go. All right. So that was good. I've taught you well. Meditation, visioning, spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer. Affirmations, visualization, seva, sacred service, and tithing. And if you recall, in that month, when we explored these 7, we added 2 more. And we called them then the Divine 9. We haven't made new posters yet, but there really were 2 more that we decided to add. And they were what I call the other F word. Sorry. Forgiveness, and who knows, gratitude. So let me just take a moment here to stand in profound gratitude. To you guys, to you guys, to you guys, to staff, spiritual life coaches, leaders, all of you. I stand in profound gratitude for an amazing ride. For an amazing ride. Thank you. Number nine. We explored this just a couple of weeks ago, but it has to be on the list. And that is live on purpose. Live on purpose, but remember what living on purpose means. It doesn't mean you're doing a certain thing in the world. We all get that so confused. We think it's a certain thing you have to do. Living on purpose is not a thing you do. It's a way you be. And the way you be on purpose is to be the most authentic version of you that you can be. Be the most authentic version of you that you can be. And how you do that in the world can be so many different things, and I'm a living testament to it can change over the course of your lifetime, and it will change. Be the most authentic version of you. Share your gifts in the highest way you possibly can. Spread your light in the brightest way you possibly can. Live from love in the deepest way that you possibly can. That's being on purpose. So, this wouldn't be a sermon if I didn't have you say something out loud, right? So, arms up, don't hit anybody, but I commit to living on purpose. I commit to living on purpose and being my authentic self. You have no idea what that felt like up here. As our former choir director used to say, it blew my skirt up. She used to tell us that's how she wanted to sing. Sing like you're going to blow their skirts up. Sorry, gentlemen, I don't know how that translates for you, but there it is. Number eight. Live in the now. Now. I shared this the Sunday that I came back after our beloved Lonnie made his transition. I shared with you that when we were clear that his life on this planet was coming to an end, we didn't know exactly when, but when we were clear that it was, my brain wanted to go into the future, and it did. It went into an awful future without him. And I would cry myself to sleep silently so he couldn't hear me, but I would cry myself to sleep thinking about my life without him. Yeah, it was horrible. And then I thought, what the heck are you doing? He's still right here. He's not gone yet. Why are you putting your brain out there to some horrible future when you've got him right here? And in this now moment, we're together. And so I really got myself back to now, be in the now. And so I was so in the now with him and he with me. And because of that, we were able to take what was already, as many of you know, like an incredible, gorgeous relationship of 30 years, even deeper. In that last month, we went even deeper in our relationship. And it was in part because I was able to get out of my head and in the future and come to the now moment. I remember the thing that got me when I thought it, that helped me move to the now was like, you're going to have to experience being without him in the not too distant future. Why go through it twice? Just go through it once. But here's the thing, two things about living in the now for me in that. So living in the now, of course, is where spirit lives, where the divine is only in this intimate, eternal now moment. So be in this moment is where we connect with source. So that's point one. Point two is when we project into the future our awfulized future, that horrible thing that could happen, that might happen, that maybe will happen, at least my experience was that my projection of it was actually worse than what it really is. Now, I am not saying it's been easy. It has not been easy. It really sucks. That's a spirit. I actually heard it at conference that when we casually in conversation say suck, it's not a very nice word, but we can make it spiritual by say sucketh. So it sucketh. Very much sucketh. But it is not as awful as my mind made it. So number 7 is live in the now. Number 6. 7. Thank you. So that was number 8. I was never all that good with math. I'm glad I have my teacher sitting right back there. Thank you. She's a science teacher, but there's math involved in science, so I love that. Number 6. Keep me on track, okay, because I will need it. Thank you, Mary Beth. Number 7. We talk all the time about being a giver, and it's very important to be a giver, Yes, yes, yes. But that's not, I'm not going to give you that as one of my top 10. Number 7 of my top 10 is open yourself up to be an expanded receiver. To be an expanded receiver. We actually shove away our good so often. Love, abundance, health, vitality, hope, purpose. We shove all that away so often because we are not open to receive. So what could you do? And I give a whole month's talk on just that one as well. But my question this morning is, where are you not allowing yourself to receive? Because of false beliefs. Usually that's what it is. False beliefs and the words that come out of your mouth, attitudes in your heart, a closed heart because you've been hurt. I just invite you to think, where have I not allowed myself to receive? And can you today, as you receive the love in this room and all the beauty and the energy and the celebration and the depth and the sadness and everything that's here, allow yourself to receive everything that's here today, which perhaps can then have an opening in you, create an opening in you to be a bigger and more expansive receiver for the good in life. 6, Mary Beth? Thank you. Number 6. I love this one. Live to prove these teachings. Live to prove these teachings. And I thought it appropriate to quote from kind of the end of the Science of Mind textbook. It is the end of the book, and then there's 200 more pages. Right? Right? You all know what I'm talking about, right? It's the conclusion, and then there's, I don't know, how many 200 more pages. But on the conclusion, which is page 423, you're welcome. That's just for you, Stephanie. Ernest Holmes writes, in conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principles than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. But the practice of the truth is personal to each, and in the long run, no one can live our life for us. We are each given what we need, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we shall use these gifts is all that matters. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures, and to the truth, may not be easy in a rapidly changing, and I'll add, in a sometimes uncertain world. But to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. So live your life to prove these principles. And my favorite passage of the textbook, which I'm just telling it now because I'm thinking of it, and I don't know the page number. I'm sorry. Dr. Bobby might know it because it's her favorite passage as well. Thank you. Page 283. I could never have done this on my own. I need all of you here, right? It says to abandon the truth in our hour of need is to prove that we didn't know it in the first place. I'm paraphrasing now, but the one who will throw himself into the limitless sea of receptivity, cut loose from all apparent moorings, will be the one who has the greatest reward. So in times of uncertainty, that's when we prove it. We don't prove it when things are great, when life is good, when things are happening, when things are clicking, when I'm on purpose, on fire, on passion. It's easy. We prove it when we're in challenging times. We prove it when we're in uncertainty. And that's Ernest Holmes, and I offer you that as number 6, to prove it, prove these teachings. Number 5, live into your next step, whatever that is. We're all divinely guided all the time, and we are always given our next step, not the whole staircase. We don't get the whole journey. We don't get to see the end result necessarily, but we are always given the next step. Be courageous, be brave, take the next step. Think for a moment what your next step is. I bet you all have one, and maybe you haven't taken it yet. If you haven't, please take it. And then the next one will be revealed. And then the next one will be, and then the next and the next. That's how it works. And here's a beautiful piece of wisdom that I got on a greeting card this week. Very precious greeting card that said, since all great journeys start with a single step, you should probably have on a cute pair of shoes. Amen, sister, and hallelujah. We heard Esther Nicholson at the retreat, at the conference I was at. Esther's been here 2 times, and I could have sworn we'd met, but she said, Michelle, we've never met. You've never been there when I've been at CLF. I'm like, are you sure? But we hadn't. But she was an amen kind of, I loved it every now and then. Amen, give me an amen. She must have fundamental Baptist roots like I do. All right, number 4. This is an acronym that I actually heard at the conference that I was just, and I love it, and so I'm making it my number 4, and that is live to stretch. Now, we're going to put stretch as an acronym. But just live to stretch is good enough, really, isn't it? Just stretch yourself. Stretch. Get out of your comfort zone. Oh, boy, am I doing that right now. Oh, yeah. You know, CLF is my comfort zone. You've been my comfort zone for almost 22 years, and I'm stepping out of that. That's a stretch. But I love this acronym for stretch. Start thinking radical, evolutionary, I'll say it all again so you can write it down. Start thinking radical, evolutionary thoughts, creating, and then you get to fill in the blank. Harmony, health, happiness, the harvest, humor, heroism, whatever H word you want to put in there. So let me say it one more time. Start thinking radical, evolutionary thoughts, creating happiness is going to be the one I'll put in there right now. We are new thought after all. When was the last time you actually had a new thought? A new thought about yourself. A new thought about, politics. A new thought about your health. A new thought about your abundance. A new thought about your church community. A new thought about your relationship. When is the last time you've had a new thought? I invite you to have some new thoughts. Stretch into some new thoughts. Number 3 of my top 10 list of how to live a life and empower your superpowers. Number 3, honor yourself consciously and often. Honor yourself consciously and often. Many of us, me included, can get so busy in the world and doing our work and doing good and having this commitment and that commitment and this and this and this, and we forget to honor who we are mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to honor the body temple with rest, to honor the spirit with meditation, to honor all of us with play, all of those kinds of things, to honor ourselves. So I will just tell you, last weekend, I had every intention of being here last Sunday. I felt like I should be here. It's my next to the last Sunday. I need to be there. I was planning to be here. And honestly, it was a really, really hard weekend. Sometimes things just, pop up and they trigger, and I'm not done with my grieving process yet over my husband, and so last weekend was really hard. And last Saturday, I was sitting at my computer for 2 hours, crying, trying to write a talk, crying, trying to write the talk. And I finally at noon went, oh, this isn't going to work. I can't do this. And it took me a lot to give myself permission not to be here last Sunday. Of course, I did have this thought, well, what are they going to do, fire me? I did have that thought. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But I did. You could. Michelle Davis going, I could fire you right now. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Just go ahead right now. All right. But to be honest, I just couldn't do it. And so I called our beloved Reverend Sherry and said, Sherry, I just need you to step in for me. I can't do it. I just need today to be. I just need to be. I need to consciously honor myself today and honor my process today, because I got apparently another layer of grief that I need to be with. And so I did that last Sunday. I apologize for not being here, but I needed to consciously honor myself. And what I'm inviting you to do as one of our top 10 ideas is consciously and regularly honor yourself.
Thank you for honoring yourself.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I won't anymore, ever again. Of course Sherry did a great job. I have no doubt about that. Number 2. This falls a bit on what I just said, but I want you to know this is very fascinating. This conference that I was just at, I do realize, I do think everything's for me. It's all about me, always. And I like this conference. The topics were like, oh, well, that's just for me. I've been going to Anton conferences for 22 years, and I've never, ever, ever, ever heard any of the speakers, several speakers, speak about grief, ever. And yet, here they were, talking about grief. Of course, because it's all about me, and I needed to hear it. Matthew Fox spoke a long time about the importance of allowing ourselves to grieve. And we all have things to grieve, personally, globally, internationally. We all have things we could be grieving. And he gave an entire talk on the importance of giving yourself space to grieve. And he said, he quoted someone, and I didn't write down, so this Matthew Fox did not say this, but he quoted it. When your heart is breaking, that is when you allow the universe to come through. And I thought, how powerful. Who said that? Joanna Macy. I can't do this without you guys. Thank you so much. Joanna Macy, thank you. When your heart is breaking, it allows the universe to come through. So there may be some grief here as we make this change in our community. I get that. I understand that. There's sadness. I understand that. Please let yourself grieve. And don't get stuck in just being pissed off at me, okay? Because I know a couple of you out there are. I know you're mad at me for leaving. I know. Don't let yourself, it's okay to be there for a bit. Don't get stuck there, because that won't serve you. Allow yourself to grieve this loss. And those of you who are going, hallelujah, thank God she's leaving, then yay, good. Yay, good. You celebrate. You hold up those. But give yourself time to grieve. That is one thing that, I've done a lot of grieving in the last 6 months. Can you believe it's been 6 months? I can't believe that. It's been 6 months. Yeah. I've given myself space to grieve, and I know there's more. There's more to be done. And that's one of the things that I want, to have a little freedom to be able to do that. So give yourself the space to grieve. Finally, number 1. The last thing that I want to leave you with, of all the possible things that I could have shared with you on my top 10 list. This last one is about leaning into your sacred community. And if it is Creative Living Fellowship, lean in here. Community is so important. And Ernest Holmes had a couple of things to say about community, which I just love. In The Anatomy of Healing Prayer, he wrote, like the weaving of a rope, where one strand will hold no weight, but united, it will hold terrific weight. That's the power of community, the power of the collective, the power of us being together in a journey, especially a journey that is difficult, a journey that is bringing up challenges, a journey where there might be some grief. Being together, supporting each other, loving each other, sticking together is so powerful. And the consciousness that happens when one or two are gathered is also profound. And Ernest had something to say about that. He said, we will all recognize this first piece of this passage. There is a power in this universe greater than we are, and we can use it. And it will multiply its effects 1,000 times, in my belief, through the united consciousness of a group. You are that group. Creative Living Fellowship is that group. Stand together in community. I know I've heard, because I hear things. I don't mean crazy voices. I don't mean that. Although there could be that too, I'm not saying. But I hear that there are those who say, oh, if Michelle's gone, I'm not going to come back. It won't be the same. You're right, it won't. It won't be the same. It'll be a new community. It'll be a different community. But it is still community. And it is still your community. If I know some of you are here because a friend dragged you, but many of you, this is your community. And some of you are back and you haven't been here for a while. This could be your community again. Because this is an amazing, powerful, brilliant, gorgeous, loving, kind, caring, flawed community. Right? If you choose it. What, to be in community? Yeah, of course. If you choose, yes. But I invite you to choose it. I invite you to choose it. I invite you to choose it. So those are my top 10. I want to leave you with something that solidifies the last one, but really kind of wraps it all together. You may have heard it before, but you may not have heard the whole thing. Because I've heard a part of this, but I have not heard the whole thing till I looked it up. The wonders of the internet, making a minister's life so much easier to do research. It's called the Hopi Elders' Prophecy. So I invite you to close your eyes, and we will actually make this our closing prayer. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now, you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour, and there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in right relationship? It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other, and do not look outside yourself for the leader. Then he clasped his hands together, smiled, and said, "This could be a good time." There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are torn apart and will suffer greatly. But know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time for the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. And so it is, and so we let it be.
Deep breath. Thank you. I am Michele Davis. I am president of the Board of Trustees. And today we have the opportunity to commemorate and celebrate a most significant event in the spiritual journey of this congregation as we bestow the honor of Minister Emeritus upon Reverend Dr. Michele. Reverend Michele has tirelessly served this congregation as a senior minister for almost 22 years and has led us from being a small congregation of just 30 people meeting in a storefront property in a strip shopping center to where we are today. And while we are honoring Reverend Michele's expression of her long-standing calling as an ordained science of mind minister, here today, we are also celebrating the common bond we each share as members and friends of Creative Living Fellowship.
And I am Laura Jesmer, and I'm the chair of the Board of Ecclesiastics here at Creative Living Fellowship. So, Reverend Michele, even though this is an honorary position, the distinction of being named Minister Emeritus carries with it the responsibilities to continue to live your ordination vows, to abide by the ministerial code of ethics, and to be an example of spiritual leadership for this congregation. You are charged in this position to be a supportive colleague to all ministers, all spiritual life coaches, leaders, members, and friends of this community. Do you accept these responsibilities and this charge?
I do.
So, members and friends of Creative Living Fellowship, please affirm your acceptance of this designation of Minister Emeritus upon Reverend Dr. Michele Whittington by saying aye.
Aye. That sounds unanimous.
May the blessing and love of God be yours now and always, as you continue to undertake the ministries you perform on our behalf and in the world.
We thank Spirit for your dedication and your service to this community, for your commitment to living and teaching the Science of Mind principles, and for your ongoing presence in our midst. And because of the example of your life, your professional service of ministry to and among us, your ongoing active ministry as a member of this congregation, and by the presence of God's Spirit through this congregation's love demonstrated here today, we'd like to first offer a gift to you that Susan Peacock has for you, which is a commemorative memory book that she has compiled from day one of everything that you've done.
That's it? That's big. Is that big enough?
How many pages? How many pages?
I just want to thank everybody who participated, who sent me emails and photographs, and especially Bill Kramer for his. We went through, I think, 14,000 photographs. This has taken 2 weeks.
Thank you.
And there's 2 pages left out, so I've got to put those in.
Okay.
I do have a digital of this, and I'll have it in Holmes Hall so you can see it. It's incredible. You're going to need at least 2 boxes of Kleenex.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan.
And we would also like to present with you this tiara because it's just so important that she has that, right? It's perfect. It's perfect. Reverend Michele, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the Board of Ecclesiastics, and the membership of Creative Living Fellowship, breathe with me, please. I declare you to be Minister Emeritus of Creative Living Fellowship of Phoenix, Incorporated.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will wear this proudly. So I want you to know, words can't even express my love and gratitude for this community, for this volume of my life. It's not a chapter because it's been way too big to just be a chapter. It's been a volume. And it's been amazing. And I'm grateful. And as I've already said, you are my spiritual community, so you're not quite rid of me yet. But I do want you to know that you are in good hands. You are in good hands. And I want to call up the person who is going to hold you. She's already held you lovingly in her hands and in her heart as she supported us while I was off, while Lonnie was ill, and after he passed. She held you in her heart and in her love, and she will continue to do that for a period of time. I'd like to invite up Reverend Sherry McCrary, who is your new interim minister. Reverend Sherry is here. She is she's a brilliant minister, steeped in science of mind, an incredible speaker, as you all know, and she's a consciousness of healing. And so as you walk this journey of grief and anger and whatever the emotions are at my leaving, Sherry is here to support you and love you through that process, in that process. Please, I don't want to say use her, but allow her to be that for you. And so I am officially handing her my lavalier microphone, or not lavalier, but my handless microphone. No one ever used this but me. It was mine. Nobody better dare touch it. I'm not possessive of much, but I was very possessive of this microphone. And so, Sherry, all kidding aside, with deep honor, respect, love, and friendship, I hand you the hearts of this community.
Wow, thank you, Michele. Thank you to all of you. This is quite an honor, quite a responsibility. I am so honored by your trust and your faith in me and faith in God. I ask for your prayers because I certainly need them. And a couple of things I want to say. When I first came here to this community, to a service here in the summer of 2015, after the service, I stopped by to say goodbye to Michele. I had met her a month before. And she said, let's have coffee sometimes. I think that there's something we're supposed to do together. She didn't know me and I didn't know her, but God knew us both. And I had no idea at that time, neither did she, that she would be taking away my security blanket, which is this. My handheld mic is my security blanket and has been for all these years. And she gave me this, so thank you. The other thing I want to say is that this is the 8th or 9th Science of Mind community I've been involved in over the years across the country. And in my 22 years of ministry, and I always embarrass Michele when I say this, so I'm going to embarrass her again today. I've said to her, and I've said to anybody else who would listen to me, and I'll say it to you, that Michele is the most generous senior minister I have ever served with in 22 years of ministry. And I just wanted to honor her and recognize that and tell you how much I appreciate that in all these years. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.